Hey, hi everybody. Michael Didier here. Sure glad you're there. We're going to talk about the Levites today. Yehovah chose the Levites instead of the firstborn of Israel, which it sounded like originally he intended on doing. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be going through Numbers 3 today. Last week in Numbers 2, we talked about the camping and marching positions that Israel's seed was going to be in. We saw that the Tabernacle with the Levites was in the center when they were marching. And so we're going to talk a bit about that today. What are their duties? Next week is interesting. Also, we're going to talk about setting up and taking down the Tabernacle. And, that kind of fits into, I'm not even going to say that because we'll save that for next week. Let's go ahead and get started. It starts like this. Now, these are the records of Aaron and his sons. Records. What is the word they use for records? These are it's the Todah, the descendants. The descendants. You hardly would get descendants from the word records, would you? But it makes a lot more sense when we're talking about what we're going to be seeing today. So these are the records of the descendants of Aaron and Moses. When Yehovah spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. I want to talk about Moses. I think I'll wait a bit about that. It says, these are the names of Aharon. Is actually how you say Aaron. Aharon. Aharon's. These are the names of Aharon's seed. And I put them here on the right. Nadav, his firstborn. Avihu, Eleazar, and Itamar. Remember, Nadav and Avihu, they died the very first day that they completed their consecration. It was an 8-day process. And on the 8th day, they died. Which we're going to talk about in the very next, almost the very next verse here. I guess we got 2 more verses. It says, these are the names of Aaron's seed. The word here is B'nai, Ha'aron. Ha'aron's seed. The anointed priest, whom he consecrated to minister as priests. Aaron's seed as the anointed priests whom he consecrated. Remember, that was the 8-day consecration. We are still in the first month here. I know it seems strange after all of Leviticus. We have gone back to the very first month. We haven't even had Passover yet in this month. Yeah, we haven't had Passover yet in this month. We're still in early days, if not some of the first days. So these are the names of Ha'aron's seed, the anointed priests, whom he consecrated to minister as priests. Now he says Nadab and Avihu, who died before Yehovah when they offered, it says, profane fire. Sometimes it says strange fire. You know what the word is that they use? It's Zor fire. Zor fire. Here it is right here. Zor fire. Oftentimes, we talk about the Zor as being people. Even Israel can be Zor, Israel's seed, can be Zor in some places and at some times. Here we're talking about Zor fire. I put it this way. They brought fire that did not belong. Fire that wasn't even asked for. That's what they brought. It may have been fire that they lit their incense from their campfire instead of the fire that is on the altar. Remember, the altar has fire that's always burning on it, night and day. Sometimes it's burning a lot hotter, but it's always burning. They offered profane fire, fire that did not belong before Yehovah in the wilderness of Sinai. And they had no, look what it says, children. The word is not children, the word is banim. They had no banim, no sons. It says, and behold, no sons. And behold, no sons. It literally is what it's saying. So Eleazar and Itamar ministered as priests in the presence of Aharon, their father. And Yehovah spoke to Moses. Here we're changing gears a little bit. You know, we just listed Aaron's seed. We're talking about the records. What was the word that they used for that? These are the descendants of Aaron and Moshe. But they didn't talk about any of Moses' children. He has children. We'll talk about that some more in a minute here. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, bring Levi's seed, the tribe of Levi. Levi's tribe. I guess I didn't put a thing on that, but it would have to be Levi's tribe. And present them before Aharon, the priest, that they may serve him. So here we have the tribe of Levi. It says, present them before Aaron, the priest, that they may serve him. Well, the first thing I thought was, aren't they going to serve his sons also? Why doesn't it include that? Well, as you continue reading, you begin to say, oh, I guess it does. And they shall attend to his needs, and the needs of the whole congregation. The word for congregation that we use here, we've seen many times, Adah. Oftentimes it says Adah, Israel's seed, the whole congregation of Israel's seed. This is the whole assembly. Before the tent of meeting, Ohel Moed. So let's put this together. Bring Levi's seed and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may serve him, that they may attend to his needs and the needs of the whole assembly before the tent of meeting to do the work of the Mishkan. I go back and forth on this. We see the tent of meeting often. The tent of meeting existed before the Mishkan was even set up. The Mishkan being the place where the Ark of the Covenant is at. I've gone back and forth. Could the tent of meetings be different from the Mishkan? Or is it exactly the same place? I think it's the same place. I thought for a while, maybe the Tabernacle of Meetings could be now the whole area that has the draperies that go around the tent of meeting, around the tabernacle. where the altar is at. But I don't think that's right. It seems to me they're using these synonymously. Follow with me as we go through these. These are things that we have to, questions. I ask myself lots of questions when I read these things. One, you got to get past the translation. But two, you have to ask yourself, why do they say certain things? So here we're talking about the whole congregation before the tabernacle of meeting to do the work of the Mishkan, before the tent of meeting to do the work of the Mishkan. Now look at the very next verse, when it says tent of meeting, we're to do the work of to do the tabernacle's work. You could say it that way. In a way, they say the tent of, if we look at that differently, we're really talking about the tabernacle's works. The tabernacle's works. The works that all are involved in the tabernacle. And when they do that, they're talking about, again, the Mishkan. So now, the very next verse, it says, also they shall attend to all the furnishings of the Ohel Moed. Here it is, Ohel Moed. Ohel Moed. Again, remember, there was an Ohel Moed. There was a tent of meeting where Moses met with Yehovah even before the tabernacle existed, all through Exodus. The furnishings of the tent of meeting and to the needs of Israel's seed to do the work of the tabernacle. So now, here we're talking about his needs, the needs of the whole tabernacle in verse 7, or the whole congregation. And now we're talking about to tend to the furnishings of the tent of meetings, to the needs of Israel's seed. Israel's seed is the whole congregation. That's the way they're set up right now, to do the work of to do the tabernacle's works. Same words, to do the work of the tabernacle, to do the work of the tabernacle. Only this time, instead of whole congregation, they use Israel's seed. Israel's seed is the whole congregation. Remember, Israel's seed are all Ezra men. We've always got to keep that in mind. We're not talking about ladies at all. There are no ladies coming in here. Let's move on. And you shall give the Levites to Aaron. Now look what it says. Up here, we were given the Levites a present to Aaron the priest. But now it says, and you shall give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. And this is Benim, not B'nai. It's using the conjugated, because it's got the his in it, so it doesn't end with mean. It ends with the vav, which says his sons. It looks like B'nai, but it's not. It's sons, his sons. But now the Levites are serving him and his sons. You shall give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They are given entirely to him from among Israel's seed. Given entirely to him from Israel's seed. So the Levites, they're part of Israel's seed. We numbered Israel's seed separately, but we left the Levites out. Now we're dealing with the Levites. They still are part of Israel's seed. Verse 10. So you shall appoint Aaron and his sons. This is the same situation. His sons up here, as we had. Where did we just see that? His sons. Here it is. His sons. Yeah, here's his sons and his sons right here. Same wording. His sons. So you shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall attend to the priesthood. But, really, and a Zor who comes near shall be put to death. So one, we use the Zor as it pertained to fire. Now we're using Zor as it pertains to someone who doesn't belong in a specific spot at a specific time. There's a reason we're going to talk about today that the Levites in red, Merarites, Gershonites, Kohathites, and Aaron and Moses surround the tabernacle when they camp to keep Israel's seed from getting too close and being put to death, because they would be considered Zor because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a time where you can bring your offering, but there's times that you don't go near those areas. They're keeping Israel seed safe, the Ezra men. And they would be considered a Zor. Who comes near it shall be put to death. Verse 11. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, now behold, look at this. Now behold, I myself, that's what really challenged me to look this up. How often do you see Yehovah saying, I myself? Here's what it actually says, which is similar. It says, and I, behold, I have taken. And I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among Israel's seed instead of every firstborn who opens the womb. This is how they always want to translate this, opens the womb. I have a challenge with this. Because would you consider that if a woman has a female, that the womb has been opened? I dare say you probably would. But we're not talking about that. The word that we're using here is rechem. Rechem. There it is right there. And it says womb. It says compare it with such and such, this other number. It says matrix. I think matrix is the word that we really need to use to understand what is going on here. Open, here's the word they use for open. The firstling, look at that. A fissure. That is concretely firstling. Opening, as opening the matrix. Opening the matrix. See, what's the matrix? This is what we're talking about today, the firstborn. He is taking the Levites. He himself is taking the Levites from among Israel's seed instead of every firstborn, the Bekor that, again, there it is right there, Bekor that opens the womb. It doesn't say the Bekorah that opens the womb. A Bekor is the male that opens the womb. That opens the matrix for further seed among Israel's seed. Therefore, the Levites shall be mine. I wanted another verse. Opens the seed of all the Bekor. All the Bekor. all the Bakor. Opens the seed, all the Bakor shall be mine. This is Exodus 13, talking about Passover, right after Passover, really. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh was stubborn about letting us go, that Yehovah killed the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of Adam, and the firstborn of Behemah, is the one it's going to say there. Therefore, I slaughter to Yehovah all the males that open the matrix. And all the firstborn, my son. See, when we talk about males that open the matrix, he's slaughtering the males that open the matrix. We're talking about the sheep, goats, and ox, cattle that open the matrix. And all the firstborn, Bekor, my son, I ransom. I think it's interesting that it says all the Bekor, my son, I ransom. What did he say? Talk to Pharaoh. Say to him, let my Bekor, my firstborn, Israel, go, that they may serve me. My son. He doesn't say sons. He says my son. Just like there's no plural of Ezra. One Ezra is an Ezra. A bunch of Ezra is an Ezra. His sons. His son. My son I redeem. When we get a firstborn goat or lamb or cattle, we slaughter it on the 20th day to Yehovah. But the sons we redeem. We redeem with 5 shekels of silver. We're going to talk about some of that here very shortly. I'm going to show you approximate values of 5 shekels of silver. Kind of interesting. Just discovered that this morning, in fact. Verse 13. Oh, he says, because the firstborn are mine. Therefore the Levites shall be mine, because the firstborn are mine. He's substituting the Levites for the firstborn of Israel, because all the firstborn of Israel are his, and we are going to redeem our sons with 5 shekels of silver. On the day that I struck all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, I sanctified to myself all the firstborn of Israel, both Adam and Behemah. That's what we're talking about. Adam and Behemah. Behemah, remember, sheep, goats, cattle. Is really what we're talking about. Here, this says, all the firstborn in Israel. This is exactly what it says. All the firstborn in Israel. Remember, who is Israel? See, we've got to keep this in mind. Israel is not a state. Israel is a man, is a people who are in covenant with Yehovah. Ezra men, the firstborn of other Ezra men. Those are the ones he's sanctifying to himself. Both man and beast. They shall be mine. I am Yehovah. Verse 14. Then Yehovah, changing gears again, then Yehovah spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai. It says, number Levi's seed. Here it is. Oh, I guess I don't have it there. It's Levi's seed. By their fathers' houses, by their families. You shall number, who? Every male from 1 month old and above. I had to ask myself, these are the questions that you ask. Why 1 month old? I can only see one reason for numbering 1 month old, and that has to do with the viability of the newborns. Both Adam, newborns, and Behema newborns. Look what it says here. Every devoted thing in Israel shall be yours. This is chapter 18 of Numbers. We haven't got to it yet. Everything that first opens the matrix. Look at that. The matrix of all flesh. I like that because that's exactly what we're talking about, the firstborn. The first opens the matrix of all flesh, which they bring to Yehovah, So these are the animals that are the first to open the matrix. They're bringing to Yehovah. You're going to slaughter them. Whether man or beast shall be yours. Talking to the Levites again. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man, you shall redeem. You're not going to slaughter them. And the firstborn of unclean animals, you shall redeem. You're not going to put an unclean animal on the altar to Yehovah. Got to redeem it instead. Remember, we saw we could redeem it with a lamb, or we just have to slaughter it ourselves. Can't slaughter it on the altar. Were the two options that we had. And those redeemed of the devoted things, the firstborn, you shall redeem when 1 month old. So here they are. 1 month old, we're going to redeem it. This is what we were just talking about. Every male from 1 month old and above. We're talking about numbering, not ones that are younger than that. Got to make it to a month first. 1 month old, firstborn of man, you shall redeem. 1 month old, according to all your valuation, for 5 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. We're going to talk about the shekel of the sanctuary when we get further towards the bottom. I think you're going to find it interesting. I think a gerah is very much like a gram that we use these days in precious metals. They use gerahs, we use grams. They add 20 shekels to the 20 gerahs to the shekel. We have 32 grams to the ounce, or the troy ounce. We've got 31 point something. To the troy ounce. Let's go to the next verse. So Moses numbered them according to the word of Yehovah, as he commanded. These were Levites' seed. Levites' seed. There it is. B'nai Levi. Remember, and I think this is pertinent because we're talking about Levi's seed, not Levi's sons, or Toph would be children, in which case Yocheved was his only daughter, so he had the 3 sons, Gershom, Kohath, Merari, and their sister, Yocheved. I didn't realize that Yocheved Moses' mother, Amram's sister. No, would it be Amram's sister? Kohath's. Oh, Amram's aunt. That's what it was. No, Amram's. I forget how that works. Let's look at this. Let me just read this. I didn't notice this until I saw it in Yasher, and I went looking for it in Torah. And I found it in two places. Look what it says here. Now, Amram took Yocheved, his father's, Kohath's sister. Yeah, Kohath's sister. To himself for a woman. And she bore him Aaron and Moses and Miriam. And the years of the life of Amram was 137, sorry. And the name of Amram's wife, this is Numbers 26. The name of Amram's wife was Yocheved. Look what it says. The daughter of Levi. The daughter of Levi. You know what? His father's, Amram, is the son, his father is the son of Kohath. His father's Kohath's sister. All right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Levi's daughter. Yeah, all right. They both work. This is really interesting when we talk about how long we were actually in Egypt. We talked about that last week. That's an interesting subject as well. The name of Amram's woman was Yocheved. There is no word for wife in Torah. The word that we're talking about here is woman, W-O-M-A-N, was Yocheved, the daughter of Levi, who was born to Levi in Egypt. She was counted before they came in. She was in uterus, but she was born in Egypt. And to Amram she bore, there it is, Aaron and Moses and their sister Miriam. Now he goes on. He's going to talk about first Gershom. We have Gershom, Kohath, Merari. So from now we're going to talk about Gershom. These are the names of Gershom's seed. Not sons. There it is at the end. Seed. His seed. By their families. There's only two. Libni and Shimei. Shimei. And the sons of Kohath by their families. Amram, the capital kind of shows where the accent's supposed to be. Yitzhar, Kevron, and Uziel. These are the sons of Kohath. And now finally, Merari's seed. Guess I didn't have anything for there. By their families, Mali and Mushi. These are the families of the Levites by their father's house. So that's kind of a summary of the last sentence is a summary of what we just read for all three of those. From Gershom came the family of the Livnites. What was that? How did they say that? Livni. I guess I don't have it, but it's Livni. These are the family of the Livnites and the family of the Shimeites. These were the families of the Gershonites. Talking about Gershon. Those that were numbered according to the number, all the males. All the males. What were we supposed to number? every male from 1 month old and above. So here's the first one of the Gershonites. All the males from 1 month and old and above, of those who were numbered, there were 7,500. Notice, it seems like every time when we numbered all the tribes of Israel in Numbers 1, they all ended with a 50 or 100 or an even 1,000. Here we are again, ending with the 500. What are the chances of it being an even 500? I don't know. Seems strange to me, 7,500. The families of the Gershonites were to camp behind the tabernacle westwards, behind the Mishkan is the word that they're using, which is why I put it in green. And there they are on the west side, behind the tabernacle. The front of the tabernacle has Moses and Aaron at the door of the tabernacle, trying to guard who's going to come in and who's going to go out. The leader of the father's house of the Gershonites was Eliasaph ben Lael. Eliasaph ben Lael. Now he says the duties of Gershom's seed in the, here we are, Ohel Moed, doesn't say in the Mishkan. It says included the tabernacle. There it says, there's the Mishkan. I almost feel like it should be a comma. The tabernacle of meeting, the Mishkan. Now we're going to say the tent with its coverings. Remember, the Mishkan has a tent, and then there's lots of multiples of coverings, three coverings that go over the tent itself. The tent was embroidered, so you could see the embroidery on the inside. But they say included the tent, included the tabernacle. It doesn't make any sense. I think we have to think of this as the tent of meetings, the tabernacle. It has Ha-Mishkan, the tabernacle. Then it says coverings. No, tent, Ohel coverings. Ohel coverings. So there it is there with its coverings. The screen for the door of the tent of meetings, that was the big door that is between, just as you're walking in to the tent of meetings, that's the screen door that they were talking about. Then it talks about the screen door of the court in the very next verse. The hangings for the court, those would be the white hangings that go all around the court, around the tabernacle, and the altar and its courts. That strikes me as funny, because why would it say the altar and their courts? I could say all around the tabernacle, the hangings all around the tabernacle and their courts, and the altar. That would be a more logical way to say that. Instead, they put the altar in the middle of their courts, according to all the work related to them. Now, one thing I thought was interesting in the Complete Jewish Bible, where this says the children of Gershom, remember, we're not talking about any ladies at all, yet they translate this word b'nai as children. Complete Jewish Bible translated as the descendants of Gershom. Oh, I thought, oh, that's interesting. I like that word. I use seed. But I could almost just as easily use descendants. But I would hate to have ladies be included in descendants, which is why I kind of stick with seed. Because we're talking about men, and the men are the ones with that have the ability to open the matrix. Yeah, you need a lady to do it. But it's the men that opens the matrix because it's the men who carries the seed. Always got to remember that. So there's their duties here. This is the duties for the Gershonites. The tent with its coverings. The screen for the door of the tabernacle of meeting. The screen for the door of the court. The hangings of the court, which are all around the tabernacle and all around the tabernacle and the altar. They're not dealing with the altar. I read it wrong. Which are all around the tabernacle. We're talking about the hangings that go all around the tabernacle and the altar. That's what we're talking about. That makes more sense, doesn't it? I wonder what word did they use for tabernacle. I've got it in brown here, which would mean that I had a note on it, but where's the note on it? We've got to look at this. Around the tabernacle and the altar, I would tend to think it would be the Mishkan and the altar. Let's see what it says. Here it is. The tabernacle. Here it is. There it is. The Mishkan. Yeah, it's the Mishkan. The Mishkan and the altar. That's good to know. That's what I would have expected it to be. See, you get to the point where when you look at this, you almost expect it to say a different word. And because it says the tabernacle, to stay with my thinking in here, I'm making him greens because we're talking about Mishkan. Oh, so this is the hangings that go around the court. Go around the tabernacle, the Mishkan, and the altar. That makes perfect sense. And their courts. Yes, exactly right. Oh, I love that. That makes it so much better. The hangings that go around the court, which are around. Okay, yeah, great. All right, that makes so much more sense. I thought, why are they dealing with it's really one of the holy things, isn't it? We'll talk about that. I would think Kohath is going to have that responsibility. Let's find out. Now we're going to talk about Kohath. From Kohath. Kahat is how you actually say that. Kahat came the family of the Amramites, the Yitzharites, the Chevronites, and the Uzzielites. These were the families of the Kahatites. According to the number of all males, from 1 month old and above, there were 8,600, again, an even number, keeping charge of the sanctuary. Sanctuary, what do they mean by the sanctuary? Keeping charge of the sanctuary. This word is the same word that we're going to use right here. And I'm not going to look it up because we're going to look it up right there, but I'm going to make a note of it. We're not talking about the sanctuary. We're talking about the holy things. it's going to be Kodesh. Keeping charge of the Kodesh. Let's look. I'll prove it. That is here. Keeping charge of the Kodesh. HaKodesh. HaKodesh. Keeping charge of the holy. The holy things. You can add that word to it because there's a bunch of things that they're keeping charge of. The holy. Let's drop that in there just so we know it. I like to keep my notes in order, sorry. I'm a little bit anal in this because it's so important to me that I'm very specific in the things that I do here. And now we have, oh, I put it in the wrong spot. Cut. We can put it down here. Oh, no, that was the right spot, wasn't it? The sanctuary, yeah, we're good. Okay. The families of the Kohathites were to camp on the south side. Here we are, the south side, right here, the Kohathites of the tabernacle. Again, Ha-Kodesh, or Ha-Mishkan. It's going to be the same word. I can put that in green. The leader of the father's house of the families of the Kohathites was Elisaphan ben Uzziel, the son of Uzziel. Their duties include, oh, there it is, the altars. So that would be the incense altar and the bronze altar. They have charge of the altars. It's one of the holy things. Their duties include the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, the utensils of the sanctuary, of the holy things. Again, it's going to be the same word with which they ministered. The screen. This is the screen that is in the Mishkan that divides the ark, the seat that goes over the ark from the rest of the building, where the table and the lampstand and the incense altar is, and all the work related to them. Now he goes on and he says this, and Eleazar, remember this is one of Aaron's sons, this is his eldest son, the eldest remaining son. Remember, it's Eleazar and Ithamar. Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, was chief. Over the leaders of the Levites. So the leaders of the Levites are the ones that we were just naming, Elisaphan, who was the one up here? There it is, Eliasaph, the son of Lael. And we still have one more that we're going to be talking about. But it sounds like he's doing, could he be doing both of these? Or is he doing, he says all. The leaders of the father's house of the families of, if it was Ithaphan, no, here, we're down here. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron, was chief over the leaders of the Levites. All the leaders, with oversight of those who kept charge of the holy things. There it is. Those who kept charge of the holy things. What are the holy things? Those are the things here in verse 31. Now, next week, we're going to see that Ithamar supervises the Gershonites and the Merarites. let me just read this. It says, this is the service of the families of the Gershonite seed in the tent of meeting, and their duty shall be under the authority of Itamar, the son of Aaron, the priest. Here's just a few verses later. This is the service of the families of the Merari seed, as all their service for the tent of meetings under the authority of Itamar. Again, same son, the son of Aaron the priest. But now it says Eleazar. So this guy did the Gershonites and the Merarites. Itamar did. Eleazar is over all of these guys, but he has particular oversights over the holy things. The sons of Aaron, Eleazar, the son of Aaron, was to be a chief over the leaders of the Levites, with oversight of those who kept charge of the holy things. Who keeps charge of those who do the holy things? That's the Kohathites. So he's over all of them, but he has specific oversights over the holy things. The people who are doing the holy things need extra attention. 33. Now we're going to talk to Merari. From Merari came the families of Maliites, and the other one was Mushi, so they are Mushites, the family of the Mushites. These are the families of Merari, and those who were numbered according to the number of all the males, 1 month old and above, were 6,200. Again, even number. The leader of the father's house of the families of the Merari was Zuriel ben Avikayel. We always want to say Avihail. It's Avika. Yil. That Yil is a yod with the L. Yil. Avika Yil. These camped on the north side of the tabernacle. Here we are. They're on the north side, the Merarites. North side of the tabernacle. Mishkan. The appointed duties of Merari's seed include the boards of the Mishkan, its bars, its pillars, its sockets, its utensils, all the work related to them, and that's a heck of a lot of work. The pillars of the court all around. So while the Gershonites did the cloth, seems like the Gershonites do more of the cloth goods. That might be pretty accurate, actually. And these guys are doing the kind of the hardware, if you will, the things that the cloth goods are going to be on. Bars, pillars, sockets, utensils, the pillars of the court all around, and their sockets, their pegs, their cords. Moreover, so here's their duties: boards of the tabernacle, its bars, its pillars, sockets, utensils, all the things that are going through here. Moreover, those who were before the tabernacle on the east, so now we're changing back to Aaron and Moses, before the tabernacle, here's the door that opens the tabernacle. It's got the Mishkan in it, and there's a door that faces the same way, east. That's in that. These guys are guarding the door. This is where you get in. Moreover, those who were to camp before the tabernacle, the Mishkan, on the east, before the tent of meeting. There it is, before the tent of meeting, on the east, before the tent of meeting. Is the Mishkan separate from the tent of meeting? I don't think so. See, that's what I thought. Maybe the tent of meetings is kind of the thing that has the tent that goes all around. But it doesn't work out that way. We're going to see it in just a second. Where Moses, who's camping there? Moses is camping there. Aaron and his sons. Well, first thing that goes to my mind is, where's Moses' sons? Where's Moshe's sons? He had two. I put, what happened to Moses' family? Here it is. Then Moses was content to live with the man, and he gave Zipporah, his daughter, to Moshe. And he bore him a son. He called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. Now here, just as we're leaving Jethro, no, this is when Jethro is actually coming back to Moses. Moses has left Jethro. He left his children and his wife with Jethro, and he went to Egypt, came out of Egypt with Israel, and then in the wilderness, Jethro came to him with his wife and his kids. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' woman, after he had sent her back, with her two sons, to whom the name of one was Gershom, for he had been a stranger in a foreign land, and the name of the other was Eleazar, for he said, the Elohim of my father was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his woman to Moses in the wilderness, where he encamped at the mountain of Elohim. Now, so he's got two sons at least. But soon, not right away, we're going to see that Miriam, well, he's going to marry what we call the Ethiopian woman. She was actually a Cushite woman. That's the word that we hear here, is the Cushite, the Cushi. Remember, Cushites are, Cush was the eldest son of Ham. You wouldn't think that Moses would be marrying a relative of Ham, but he is. And it doesn't seem like Yehovah has a problem with it. According to this chapter, we'll talk about that more when we get there. It says, then Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had taken, Lakak. For he had taken, and they translate it usually as married, whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman. It's taken. He had taken a Cushite woman. So here's what the rest of this says. They will camp on the east before the tabernacle of meeting, where Moshe, Aaron, and his sons, keeping charge of the sanctuary to meet the needs of Israel's seed, but no outsider, no Zor, there's that word Zor again, no outsider, no Zor who came near but the Zor who came near was to be put to death. That's the second time we've had them say that the Zor who comes near is going to be put to death. Yeah, and there's a reason, there's a buffer. The Levites provide a buffer between Israel's seed and the tabernacle. They don't wander into Levites' camp, I wouldn't think. Certainly don't go beyond Levi's camp. All who were numbered of the Levites. Look at this. whom Moses and Aaron numbered, the commandment of Yehovah by their families, all the males from 1 month old and above, it says we're 22,000. I put it in red. Why? Because if you add it up, it comes out to 22,300. Why does it come out 22,300? The count is off by 300. And that's significant in what we're going to read for the rest of this chapter. People say, oh, there's no, Torah is perfect. There's no mistakes. Of course there's mistakes in Torah. We've seen dozens of them. And we haven't even gotten to Deuteronomy yet. Oh my gosh. 22,000. No, it works out to 22,300. Look, 75. I'll just go through it. 75, 8,600, 7,500, 8,600, 6,200. Here we are. I put it in a particular color. There it is, 7. Verse 22. 7,500. 7,500. 7,500. The next one was 8,600. There it is, 8,600. The next one, 6,200. That adds up to 22,300. That doesn't add up to what they say it adds up to. 22,000. No, it's 22,300. Then Yehovah said to Moses, and this affects everything now. Then Yehovah said to Moses, number all firstborn males. There is no the there. Number all firstborn males of Israel's seed from 1 month old and above, and take the number of their names. Firstborn males. You know, that's redundant. To say firstborn males, number all firstborn males. Zakar, Bekor. Bekor are males. What's up with that? Why do we have to be redundant? Is he just trying to make a point? I don't know. Take the number of names. And 41. And you shall take the Levites for me. I am Yehovah instead of the firstborn of Israel's seed. And the livestock of the Levites instead of the firstborn among the livestock of Israel's seed. I had to think about that one for a while, because we're taking the Levites instead of the firstborn of Israel's seed. But now we're going to take the livestock of the Levites instead of the firstborn of Israel's seed. This is why Israel's seed, when they have a firstborn, they bring it to the altar and kill it. So the priests are going to get the meat, I believe. What little meat there is, I mean, it's 20 days old. There's not going to be much meat on it. But I don't think they use it as a burnt offering. They may use it as a burnt offering. That could be. I forget exactly how that's used. If it's used as a what is the word I'm looking for? As something that we would eat normally. Yeah, maybe it's a burnt. They may use it as a burnt offering. That would make much more sense. We'll leave that hanging for right now. Maybe we'll find something to put that in my mind as to what actually happens to those firstborn of the livestock. So here we are. Instead of the firstborn of Israel's seed, he's taking the Levites and the livestock of the Levites. Where does the Levites get their livestock? They're going to get it from Israel's seed, from the tithe that comes from Israel's seed, and of course the livestock that they already have. Instead of the firstborn among the livestock of Israel's seed. So they are going to get the firstborn of the livestock of Israel's seed. They're going to be slaughtered or killed. Let's say killed. Slaughtered would mean they're going to eat them, and there's not any meat hardly on a 20-day-old animal. I know, that's the animal I use for my Passover. Instead of the livestock of Israel's seed. So Moses numbered all the firstborn among Israel's seed as Yehovah commanded. And all the firstborn males, according to the number of names from 1 month old and above, of those who were numbered of them, look what it says, 22,273. This is the first time that we've seen an odd number that doesn't end with a 0 on it. Why? I have to ask myself, why? How come it always ends up even, except when we're going to deal with money? Because that's what we're going to deal with right now. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites instead of all the firstborn of Israel's seed, and the livestock of the Levites instead of their livestock. That would be Israel's seed's livestock. The Levites shall be mine. I am Yehovah. Ani Yehovah. And the redemption of the 273, that is the difference. So weird. The difference between what they say is the 22,000 and the 22,273. There's more, supposedly, of the firstborn of Israel's seed than there is of the Levites. So they're saying we have to pay the difference, 5 shekels, for the 273. But in reality, according to their numbers, there's 22,300, which is 27 over the Levites, or over the firstborn of Israel's seed. There's more of those instead of less. So this throws all the numbers off. You know, Yasher, I just reviewed that this morning. It does say 22,000 instead of 22,300. So it agrees with Torah in this respect. Go figure. And for the redemption of the 273 of the firstborn of Israel's seed, you shall take 5 shekels for each one individually. 5 shekels for each one individually. So we got 273 times 5 shekels works out to be 13,000 or 1,365. And we're going to see that number in just a second, and we haven't seen it yet. 5 shekels for each one individual. You shall take them in the currency of the shekel of the sanctuary, the shekel of 20 gerahs. I looked this up. Gerahs was a standard of measure. I put a gerah is to a shekel as a gram is to an ounce or a troy ounce. Now, I found this really interesting. Let me just show you. This is a coin. It's got, I don't know if you can see this or not. it's got the Torah, there we go, on one side. No, I take it back. That is the Constitution of the United States on one side. And on the other side, it's got the Torah. Barely see that. But I looked at it closely, and this says an ounce. You know, every coin I have is a troy ounce. This particular coin says that it is an ounce. An ounce. How come it doesn't say a troy ounce? It says 1 ounce, 0.99 fine silver. Then on the other side, which I thought, oh, this is cool, it says 2.484 shekels of silver. That means this coin is almost 2.484. Almost 2.5 shekels. Just shy of 2.5 shekels. Which means that if we're going to redeem our son with 5 shekels, it's 2 coins. 2 of these is what we need to redeem our newborn son every time we have a firstborn son. A firstborn son. I said newborn son, a firstborn son. We need to redeem them with 2 coins, which would represent 2.5 plus 2.5, 5 shekels of silver. Isn't that interesting? I thought it was. All right, I'll move on. And you shall give the money with which the excess number of them is redeemed to Aaron and his sons. You shall give the money. How much was the money? 1365 shekels, which would be twice that in these. 26, 27, 30. 2,730 coins for those 273 children. Firstborn. Let's be specific. Now it says, so Moses took the redemption money from those who were over and above those who were redeemed by the Levites. Who did Moses take the money from? What is the only fair way that you can do this? Israel's seed is supposedly 273 over the 2,200 that Torah says we have. So, who are they going to take the money from? Does Israel's seed have a coffer that you can just take it from that coffer? No, that doesn't exist. I think the only fair way to do that, but perhaps the fathers who had the 273 youngest firstborn of Israel's seed should pay that money. That's the only fair way that I think it can be done. And I think probably that was the way it was done. And then they're going to put it into the Levites' coffers. Redeemed. No. Is it going to go to, who's it going to go to? So Moses took the redemption money from those who were over and above those who were redeemed of the Levites, from the firstborn of Israel's seed. He took the money, 1,365 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, the priests. It's going to go into their coffers. That makes sense, according to the word of Yehovah, as Yehovah commanded Moses. Well, That's it for today. I hope you found this interesting. Finding things like this, kind of being able to relate it to something tangible, seeing errors, all these things, they're very meaningful to me. I hope they're meaningful to you. You know, sometimes we read these things and we don't even think about what it actually is saying. We just simply read it and, okay, well, I'm done with that chapter. But we don't learn anything about it. We don't think deeply about any of that. Wait till you see what happens next week when we talk about the duties and responsibilities of Levi's seed in the setting up and the taking down and the carrying of the Mishkan, the Ohel Moed. I think you'll find it interesting. All right, folks, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Yehovah bless you real good. Bye now.